We at the Central Virginia Battlefield Trust were formed in 1996 to preserve battlefields at Fredericksburg, Chancellorsville, Wilderness, Spotsylvania Courthouse, and now Mine Run. We have saved nearly 2,000 acres in these battlefields to date. 300 of them were here at the Wilderness. As you look around us, some of that property is the adjoining property we can look at today. Those who have fought and fallen here on the ground we stand on today would have anticipated their sacrifice and their suffering to be recognized, honored, and respected. The best way to do this is to save the very ground that they consecrated. The approved rezoning of more than 2,600 acres, allowing more than 5,000 residential units, 200 square feet of mixed commercial use, 732 acres of data centers and distribution warehouses, will forever impact this historically sensitive area.
It will have a massive impact on historic resources here in the area and a massive impact on the gateway to the wilderness unit of the Fredericksburg and Spotsylvania National Military Park. And it isn't just the size and the scope of this massive development that are problematic. The measure approving it did not take into, it was unsatisfactory. It did not take into consideration the viewshed problems it will cause, the impact across the historic landscape of noise pollution from industrial areas. It didn't take into account the large number of people that will move to live into that development, or the massive amount of water usage that will take place in order to support it.
Places like Germanna and Spotswood Palace, Salubria, Randy Station Battlefield, Madden's Tavern, the U.S. Colored Troop Memorial that was just put in place 2 years ago, and now the 40,000 acre Rapid Ann River Clark Mountain Rural Historic District that's proposed and will be made public in the coming months. Each of these places, just along Route 3, tell an important part of American history. They're part of an intact landscape, and it's very, very much at risk. Far from providing a gateway to the area, the Wilderness Crossing proposal extends the thoughtless sprawl development along Route 3 that has already surrounded Salem Church Battlefield, encroaches on Chancellorsville. Combined with the decision to approve data center complex adjacent to the Culpeper National Cemetery and an Amazon data center near the newly designated Brandy Station Battlefield Park in Stevensburg, the potential impacts of data center construction represents a huge step backward, a rapid move to industrialize rather than preserve the historic character of this area.
The data centers of this size have massive impacts on historical areas. Each building they are talking about building will require the water and electricity support of a town of 25,000 people. Think about that for a moment. So, because of a host of substantive issues in the approval process and basic problems with infringing on the National Military Park, the American Battlefield Trust, along with partners such as the Central Virginia Battlefield Trust and Friends of the Wilderness Battlefield and local landowners, have filed a lawsuit against Orange County and the associated developers. We ask for your support. Now, we here at the Trust and the rest of the Battlefield Coalition welcome the National Trust's designation of the Wilderness as one of the nation's 11 most endangered historic sites. We thank them for that. I will not say it's an honor, but it is warranted and it is necessary. We wish it didn't have to happen, but it has to happen. It has to be brought to people's attention, the threat that this development has become.
You've heard about what a typical data center will bring. There's no such thing as a typical data center anymore. The engineering and the future design of these buildings is changing on a month-to-month basis. What used to be 100,000 square feet and maybe 30 megawatts of power demand is now 1 million square feet and approaching a gigawatt per data center. Well, what's a gigawatt? You know about North Anna Nuclear Power Plant down the road? That's the baseload supply for Virginia, There are 2 of them in the state. And it's 1.8 gigawatts if all its generation capacity is being utilized. So imagine if 10 million square feet of data centers just over here. It will bring additional transmission lines and, by necessity, additional generation on the scale of 1 or more nuclear power plants. If you did it as renewable energy, which is an admirable goal, it's in the tens of thousands of acres of solar, plus batteries. It's natural gas, it's several large natural gas generation plants. So that's the scale that this single decision that this local government took in secret without revealing any of the data or even who the proposed developer was going to be. And that's why the coalition has taken the step of challenging it through litigation and asking for a reconsideration of those decisions.
A project of this magnitude is unprecedented in this area. The Central Virginia Battlefield Trust agrees with our partners that the development plan fails to analyze serious impacts to the historic landscape and public utilities or to address major environmental repercussions. Moreover, repeated procedural errors and failure to comply with the Virginia Code, the county's own comprehensive plan, compel us as neighboring landowners to challenge the decision with our coalition partners at the American Battlefield Trust, Friends of Wilderness Battlefield, and other impacted landowners. Let's be clear, we are not opposed to growth. We are opposed to rampant growth with no consideration to the historical and cultural resources placed upon our stewardship by those Americans who fought and fell here. We seek and will always seek a win-win solution. The designation given here today of the wilderness on the top 11 endangered battlefields serves as notice of the fragility of our history and the need for us to preserve it.
You know, close by here in the Wilderness Battlefield, General Ulysses S. Grant began the final overland campaign to end the Civil War. When he suffered horrendous casualties here, he was asked by General Lincoln, by President Lincoln, "What is your intent, sir? What is your intent? Are you going to withdraw and give up?" Grant said, "Not a chance. My intent is to fight it out on this line all summer until there is a resolution." Like Grant, we, the American Battlefield Trust and the Battlefield Coalition, intend to fight it out here until there is a successful conclusion.